She's not back yet? You mind if we take a look in her bedroom?
Has she ever disappeared before?
To leave without permission. She does not text me when I text her.
What does she normally take with her when she leaves?
Her bag, her phone.
Her phone's not in here.
Not that I've found.
We can talk to you that farm around. Are you going here last night? Or, night before or anything? Any reason she would leave?
No.
Okay. There's a rumor going around, people telling us that she's afraid to go home.
This is the moment Andy McCauley realized police were on his trail. Just hours earlier, his girlfriend's daughter, Riley Crossman, suddenly went radio silent, and police were quickly called to come and investigate. At first glance, it looked just like a messy teenager's bedroom with nothing out of the ordinary. But as the officers scoured through the clutter, unsettling details began to emerge.
This is a book bag Debbie said she wore, but she said the kids already went through everything. Money. Squinty.
They would find items that a teenager might typically take if they were planning to run away. But as they begin to look even more, they start to notice blood. Blood was on her sheet, and more was found on her comforter. The cops were now certain that foul play had occurred, and something terrible happened to Riley. As they try to piece together the puzzle, police find themselves entangled in one man's web of deceptions and twisted lies, all crafted to conceal his one single disturbing secret. On May 8, 2019, dispatchers received a call from a concerned woman reporting the disappearance of her 15-year-old daughter, Riley Crossman. As officers arrive at the scene, they come into contact with the caller, Chantel Oakley, and her boyfriend, Andy McCauley.
What's going on, man? Haven't seen you in a long time.
Ain't been a while.
Any word? You mind if we take a look in her bedroom?
Has she ever disappeared before?
To leave without permission. She does not text me when I text her. This is the only mirror we have like this, so I came in yesterday morning, and I don't remember that being there. And especially her glasses, because this is not exactly the way it was. I've been in here digging and looking to see if there was a note or anything like that.
According to Riley's mother, this was unlike her, and she wasn't one to run off without telling anyone. A quick search of her room revealed that her belongings were untouched, except her bed, which was covered in bloodstains. This was highly suspicious, so officers quickly took a sample and sent it off for DNA testing. But for now, officers need to gather as much information as possible from people who last saw Riley, so they decide to question Andy about his whereabouts that day.
We can talk to you that farm around. Are you going here last night? Or, night before or anything? Any reason she would leave?
No.
Okay. There's a rumor going around, people telling us that she's afraid to come home. I don't know if that's, how people go sometimes. But
No, nothing like that.
okay. So,
She wouldn't have to be here. I mean, they're right. They ain't like that. It's never like that.
this is nothing.
Yeah, Mom went home.
Right. She's at work. No, you. They said that she got an argument
No,
with you.
no.
They didn't want to come home.
No.
So, I don't know.
She was you can ask your grandma. She was here doing dishes and everything. Her grandma was here at 7:30.
Okay.
Debbie.
Right.
Yeah.
When's the last time you saw her?
Like 9, maybe 10ish.
At night?
Yeah.
And what context was that?
She was here in the house. She went to bed probably. Well, I don't know what time she went to bed, but she was. All the kids were in the room by like 9:30.
Did you see her leave in the morning?
No, I left at 4. I got up 4 o'clock in the morning. That's 5.
Okay.
Go to work.
According to family and friends, Andy was never an early riser. In fact, when police interviewed one of his colleagues, Johnny, he stated that he had to go to his house and repeatedly call him to wake him up. But on this particular day, things were different.
I'll call him and see if he's up. So that morning, do you remember if you called him or he called you? Wednesday morning. I want to say he called.
But this was not the only strange thing about Andy that day. He also told police that he was at work all day, and when cops interviewed another one of his colleagues to verify his alibi, they found out that Andy had left work and was gone for nearly 5 hours.
And he gets back at roughly 2:45.
So he was going a while. 4, almost 5 hours.
Because of this, detectives now know that Andy hasn't been completely honest with them so far, at least about staying at work the full day. This is very clearly a red flag and means that he's trying to hide something from them. But Andy might not be the only one hiding something, as officers would find out when they decide to look into Riley's boyfriend, Hayden. For the last 8 months, the two reportedly FaceTimed every night, so officers believed that if anyone was in contact with Riley the night before, it would be Hayden, and he was soon called in for an interview 2 days after Riley went missing.
Can you just tell us when you were last FaceTiming?
I was actually talking to her about the TC trip, what was going on.
And do you know exactly what time?
10:30-ish.
On the night of Riley's disappearance, it just so happened that Hayden deleted all his messages with Riley because he did not want his mother seeing them. This is why detectives could tell that Hayden knows something, but because of his mother's defensiveness, he's unable to speak his mind.
I told him before not to delete his messages, but he isn't having it, deleting everything.
What do you know about her mom, her mom's lifestyle? Or what their relationship?
I don't really know much about mom.
I feel like she just isn't a responsible person. She'll just let her do whatever she wants. They had a dance, and she was wearing this short dress. She let her walk to the school by herself in this short dress. It's at night. Riley had way too much freedom.
Although this interview was not too fruitful, it pushed Hayden to come forward with a crucial piece of evidence afterwards. A series of disturbing text messages that Riley sent to him the night before she disappeared, saying that Andy was in her room and that she was scared. Immediately, all suspicion was further confirmed around Andy, and officers would later use this information to piece together this dark puzzle. But for now, finding out Andy's actual whereabouts and what really happened during the 5 hours that Riley was missing is crucial to the investigation, and the reason why Andy would be called in for questioning.
I just talked to Johnny, right? Saw him leaving. Okay. Would you be surprised if you told me something completely different?
Maybe.
Do you not remember leaving that job site down to Red Hill?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. We did go to, it did, I'm sorry. We did. You're right.
Okay.
You're right. We did go to, it did a shower.
How long were you there at Red Hill?
Like the rest of the day.
Okay.
Like the rest of the day.
Okay. Were you at that house the entire time, fixing the shelves?
No.
Okay. Where were you at?
I was at another house.
Okay.
I went and got some more drugs.
If Andy was off doing illegal drugs during those 5 missing hours, then that could possibly explain why he didn't initially tell the cops the truth about where he had been all day. But this also could just be his way of trying to distract the police by bringing their attention to something else. At this point, detectives know that Andy is desperate to give them an alternate alibi, and his drug story could possibly be true. So to cross-check, they would call in Johnny again. Johnny had a history of drug use, and the two would often do cocaine together, so he can easily substantiate or discredit Andy's account.
Would you say that there was enough to still do another line each? Oh, yeah. A couple lines each? Oh, yeah. Okay. So you wouldn't have to... You didn't need any more coke? No.
So now, Andy's story about going to get more drugs isn't adding up. His colleague had already told the cops that they had more than enough cocaine to get them through the rest of the day, so there would be no reason for them to go get more drugs. Realizing that Andy has been lying, the police decide it's time to confront him and get to the bottom of his deception.
What if I told you that I know you weren't investing in it, and you didn't buy drugs off anybody that day? See what I'm getting at? We went from this story to this story, now we're going to get a third story. This is one of these times you really need to think of what you're telling me. Okay, because you're not being honest. Remember I told you about being honest and I'm not going to just throw shit at you? I know you weren't there. I know you didn't buy drugs off your cousin, and I know you didn't use them in that parking lot that day. Where did you go when you left?
Went to my house to get the drugs.
Okay.
I already had them in my house.
Okay.
I already told you to tell. I said, I tell you I had them in my house.
So you go back home, you use your drugs, and then you go back to work, and then what?
Considering the discrepancies in each version of the story he tells officers, there is more than enough reason for officers to not trust Andy, like they would express.
I'm just telling you the whole part about you being honest.
I'm being honest with you. I've been honest with you. I told you shit that I didn't want to tell you.
Okay. You're being somewhat honest. I mean, we're doing some polling to get some information about some drug activity, which I don't even give two shits about. But yeah, we're having trouble pulling that out of you.
Because I was worried about the names out there.
Okay, and I told you I don't care about that.
I didn't say that.
You told us about the drug activity, what, 2 nights ago? Did I arrest you for it?
You didn't do anything.
The main reason for detectives pressuring Andy like this is because a record of his movements is crucial for this investigation. Usually law enforcement can just track a suspect's movements using their phone, but in Andy's case, he had supposedly left it at home the day that Riley went missing. Knowing that the more leniency detectives show to Andy, the bolder he would become in giving shady alibis, detectives decide to ramp up the intensity of the conversation, even more to make Andy nervous and slip up about his real whereabouts.
The further along this is, whatever happens, and whoever did this, the worse off it gets for that person too.
Yes, hope so.
She was probably taken out of that house by somebody.
Yeah, I feel something. They're taking that one, I feel, because she'd be on by now. She
was taken from that house, is what I'm saying. She didn't wander off. She didn't pack a bag and take her clothes, take her glasses, take a cell phone charger, take all her money. She had most of her money. Someone's going to go.
Yeah, money was still in the book bag.
Yeah. So like I said, if someone's going to run away or do something, they're going to make a little bit better effort. Even for a 15-year-old. For a 15-year-old kid, they're going to at least have the necessities.
Even after explicitly stating the absurdity of the situation, Andy seems as calm as ever and won't crack about where he really was. But even in this situation, detectives have one piece of evidence that would cause the pressure to mount on Andy: the texts that Hayden had showed them. Once confronted with these, Andy's behavior changes immediately.
What if I told you her last text to her boyfriend were saying, don't talk, because she still has to FaceTime one? Andy's in here. I'm afraid.
That's what it said.
What if I told you that?
Honestly, that's crazy.
I can put my hand on the Bible and tell you I saw those texts today.
Well, I like to see him because I knew probably he was scared of me. I never seen.
Not only that, she said you were in here, and she was in her bedroom because the FaceTime was still on.
I was never in her room.
That's not what she's saying.
I don't go in her room.
Andy, I'm not lying to you.
I was not in her room, for one. And for two, the kid's not scared of her. There's no reason for her to be scared of me. I've been there in her life for a year and a half. Taking care of her, giving her these needs. What we're saying, I get that, I hear you, but what we're saying is that's what she's saying. So obviously to her, he's afraid of something.
The walls are closing in on Andy quickly, and he's no longer able to keep up with his lies. He can't think of any possible reason why Riley would be afraid of him, or any explanation for why she would have sent her boyfriend those texts.
There's no way. There's no way. Yes, your mother. Your mother will tell you that it's not true. There's no
I'm
way.
telling you, I read that with my own eyes today.
I don't know.
So you see where that puts us?
Yeah, I understand, but the kid's not scared of me. I don't understand how you guys can say that.
Despite the damning physical evidence, Andy continues to insist that there was no reason that Riley would have been afraid of him. Perhaps he thinks that if he denies this enough times, the cops will simply move on.
Yes, she's not. That's your grandmother.
That's what she is saying.
She's saying that's why we're saying that. We don't know what goes on behind closed doors when, you and Chantel are there, or Chantel and Riley are there, or we don't know. Okay? But obviously in her mind, she's afraid of you. Would you agree it doesn't make sense? It doesn't make sense at all. So does she have any reason to say that? No. Then why would she say that? Oh, no.
At this point, the cops have given Andy an opportunity to come up with any sort of explanation at all, or even a lie. This would have been his chance to point towards something that may have happened in the past, even as simple as a disagreement between the two of them, as a possible reason Riley would have written these things. But Andy is not taking the bait.
Is she vindictive towards you? Does she hate you? No. She don't hate me. She loves me. That's what I'm asking you. I don't know that. Does she argue with you? No, ever. We have never cussed at you, cursed you out, nothing. Never, nothing. In a year and a half, nothing. Okay, so it sounds like to me she does love you so heartedly. Yes. Okay, so why would she say that? I don't know. In a year and a half, we have not had one conflict. Okay. Me and the boy, yeah, we have. Okay, but there's never been anything, like you said, a year and a half, or the last several weeks, several months, several days, nothing that's, you'd be like, oh yeah, I forgot about that one time she wanted this, and I told her no. Maybe she got mad, and she's nothing.
With all else failing, Andy would attempt to try and convince the cops that he shares the same sentiments as them.
But you see where that puts us, right?
Yeah, I understand. I understand what you guys are doing. I'm not mad that you guys are doing your job.
I mean, that's the last message he has from her.
I'm not that you guys are doing your job. I know you're doing your job, but there's nothing I can think of.
She wants to do her job. That's what we're doing.
I'm asking you to job up. I'm not mad. You guys don't know. Guys, I think you're a little pissed off, but there's nothing that I can think of. She'd be mad at me or she'd be upset with me, or scared of me, or anything with me.
You didn't go in that room?
No.
She still had FaceTime one, too.
Okay, well, I wasn't in that room.
The cops lacked probable cause at this time to arrest Andy, but there is one piece of evidence that is about to change the course of this entire investigation. It was around this time that the lab results on that blood sample would finally return, and it would be an exact match to Andy's DNA. But that's not all. They also learned that the blood they tested was also mixed with saliva. This made the cops suspect that Riley's face may have been forced into the pillow in an attempt to keep her from screaming. This is an important development, but they still haven't located Riley, and they need to find more information about where Andy was during those 5 missing hours. Luckily though, all of that can be answered in the CCTV footage that captured all of Andy's movements. There were cameras attached to a nearby high school that captured Andy McCauley leaving his work site. That was the starting point of the investigation for the cops. They knew the direction of his travel, including the fact that he was on Route 9. An eyewitness who knew what Andy's vehicle looked like was able to confirm that she saw his truck backed up into the driveway driveway of Riley's home in the middle of the day when he should have been at work. At this point, the cops believe that Andy killed Riley during the late night or early morning hours, likely to keep her from screaming while he assaulted her. They believe he then hid her body in the bedroom until everyone left, and then later returned to the house when it was empty to pick up her body and dispose of it, using CCTV footage to guide them. And with the help of police canines trained to pick up Riley's scent, they search a nearby mountainous area. It is there that they tragically find Riley's decomposing body left in a secluded area. While this is the outcome that nobody wanted, it marks the turning point in the case. Near where Riley's body is found, there are several unique-looking screws discovered. These are the same screws that were located when the cops had searched Andy's vehicle the day previously. This is even further evidence that solidified the case against him, and 8 days after the discovery of Riley's body, Andy is arrested and charged with her murder. He pleaded not guilty. In the trial, Andy's defense argued that the prosecution failed to provide a clear motive or definitive cause of death, as the exact cause could not be determined due to the body's decomposition. Despite this, the jury found significant evidence linking McCauley to the crime, such as the presence of drywall mud on Crossman's body, which matched the drywall found in McCauley's truck, and inconsistencies in McCauley's statements about his whereabouts on the day of Crossman's disappearance. The jury deliberated for about 4 hours over the course of 2 days, and decided that the monster who murdered Riley was none other than Andy McCauley.
We, the members of the petit jury, as to the issues joined, find the defendant, Andrew J. McCauley Jr., as follows. Count 1, murder. Guilty of murder in the first degree.
Finally, justice for Riley had been served. The only thing left was for Andy to be sentenced. The judge presiding over the case sealed his fate by giving him 2 life sentences. He will never see the light of day as a free man ever again, and most importantly, he will never be able to hurt another innocent child.